Hey guys, Charles Demiano here from the Bruce Lee Collection for another exciting episode. I have with me today no other than the infamous Rick Baker. I want to thank you for this interview, man.
Yes, right. I'm also in a different time zone, so I'm just trying to stay awake right now.
I really appreciate it.
You know, but the New York weather at the moment, it's like 77 degrees. It should be winter. So
it's like summer out here.
It's springtime in New York.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, today is going to be really special, and Hector was gracious enough for allowing us to borrow his pad here with the Bruce Lee backdrop.
And what you're going to witness on this tape is me slowly packing the stuff away.
Exactly.
And then when he comes back, there'll be a camera reaction as to where's all my stuff gone, and as he sees the lorry.
There we go.
Background.
Everything will be gone.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Well, I wanted to kind of start from the beginning because I know Bruce has been an inspiration to us all, and I know I got started back in '73. We're about the same age. And so how did it all start from you? Like, when were you first introduced to Bruce Lee, and how'd you get the bug?
It's, to be very honest with you, we had a Sunday paper called the Sunday, I think it was Sunday Mirror or Sunday People. And there was in about page, near the TV page, there was a article saying a Hong Kong actor, Chinese kung fu star. The word kung fu at that stage wasn't very well known.
Yes.
So it was a new world, and even David Carradine's series Kung Fu hadn't started, so it was very, very new. And there was a photograph of Bruce. It was from The Big Boss. It's that one where he looks a little bit boss-eyed.
Yeah.
And he said this, and they were saying that there was a program of this fighting star, and I believe there was going to be some mention in a program. But I just saw it and I was fascinated. And then what happened is, after that, it wasn't too long that we started seeing the trailers for Enter the Dragon on TV.
Warner Brothers presents Enter the Dragon, the first martial arts film produced by a major Hollywood studio. Introducing U.S. karate champion Jim Kelly as Williams. He grew up in the streets and knew what it meant to fight for survival.
Your style is unorthodox. It's not the art, but the combat that you enjoy. The winning.
Star Bruce Lee, Roper, Williams, and Lee. Williams, he was there because he had no choice. And Lee, his job was to get them out, alive. This is Enter the Dragon.
And then there was a program at the weekend called World of Sport with Dickie Davies, and they had that week they were talking about the kung fu craze, and they showed you a scene from King Boxer.
Oh.
And you know, this was it. It was the headbutter. It was the headbutter.
Yes,
thing.
yes.
But then
The new movie sensation that's stunning the world. The martial arts masterpiece. Sights and sounds like never before. See the astonishing ritual of the fires. Pale before the forbidden ritual of the steel palm.
So there's a curious. Now I'm at school now, but there's a little wave going around of this martial art kung fu.
A little buzz happening, right?
To be honest with you, none of us had a clue.
No, neither did I.
We were just. I'm 13 at the time, and so what happens is that it's going, and then I got fascinated. Now I'm somebody that starts something and just moves on. So, but this sort of kept with me. Then when Enter the Dragon come on, announcing it was coming, that this film was going to be released in the UK, and you saw the scene, and it was the scene. Funny enough, it wasn't really a Bruce Lee scene. It's when Roper's out there and he's looking at Jim Kelly, and they're doing that bit where they want to gamble on him. He's going,
Wow, so that was the trailer they showed? That was the scene they showed?
The scene they showed, and it's the you know, and then suddenly that guy Dex, was it Tony Lung? I think it's Tony Lung. Dex.
Yeah.
And he gets up and dusts himself down, and he looks at Williams, and Williams goes, and the guy goes, and he goes, and he's like, you know what I mean? Then the guy goes back and goes,
yeah.
And he says, and then that's it. So, but that scene was captivating.
Wow.
And nothing to do with Bruce Lee. And then there was a little talk about it. And then I noticed we used to have a called the radio or the TV Times.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, there was a documentary looking at Hong Kong cinema. The Kung Fu movies, the craze that's about to sweep the West. And because back in those days, we had different channels for local areas. So the London channel, which it was on, didn't cover the Midlands where I was from. And so that was it. But then all of a sudden it started to become the talk. It was coming. I think it got released in the UK in '74.
Oh wow, okay. Because here it came out in '73 in August of '73.
Generally, they used to have London cinemas and then general wide release.
Gaia.
So I'm going to say it was '74 when it come, and we were all excited. Now, I went the first time, and it was a ridiculous situation. I cut some hair of my fringe and glued it here and got some platforms and tried to pass in as 18.
Because you couldn't get in at the time without your parents, right?
Couldn't get through the door. And I thought, oh no, I made a mistake. Before that come, they showed King Boxer with Deliverance. And so
that was the second feature, Deliverance?
Deliverance.
I love that,
days,
yeah.
Decent double bills.
Yeah.
Although Kung Fu movies slowly progressed to being double bill with a soft gore film.
Yeah.
So here, and I did that thing, and I got in. And I remember watching Deliverance, which I didn't want to watch, but I so enjoyed it. And we saw King Boxer. That was the first cinematic experience.
Wow, what a double feature.
And if it's okay now, but if at that stage we'd seen nothing, nothing to compare it with. It was just this film, and it was hypnotizing. And you come out the cinema, and you had that sort of spring in your stance. And then the trailer for Enter the Dragon come on during that. And it was like, you know, Lee, Roper.
And Williams.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Roper, Williams, and Lee.
And it was so electric. And then we thought, right, next week I got ready, I did the same. I even had a fur coat. Everything was cool. But I wasn't buying the tickets. My mate, who was a year older than me, he looked a bit older, had a bit of stubble. So we would head over, and he got in, and they said, you're not coming in, you know what I mean? I said, oh, come on, please. No, I'm begging them. I had to stand outside. And what I did was, I just stared there. There was a magazine come out in England. It's got a shot of Bruce Lee, and I think it's called Cinema. And it's a sort of Bruce Lee.
Yeah, I heard of that one. Yeah.
Above. It was 50p.
Yep. One of the publicity shots where Bolo was holding up the guard,
I bought that
and
spent the whole time waiting for my mate to come looking at that, looking at the lobby cards. So it didn't work. So he come out, and I was really disappointed. And so what happened was I tried again, and we went back the next night, and it didn't work. And
this is when Enter the Dragon was playing. Now they were featuring Enter the Dragon,
and those days it would play for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we tried, I think, 3 or 4 times. Then at school they told me that there's a cinema in El Shilton, which is close to where I lived, that was a flea pit. And they said the woman let our friends in to see films there with the school uniforms that were ex-certificate. I said, what? And Big Boss come on.
Yeah.
With Girl the Thunderbolt Kick with Wang Yu. So I missed Enter the Dragon that first time. And then the Big Boss is on. So we went over one evening, got a bus over. Once again, I put the outfit on. The woman on the desk is partially blind. So, and the worst thing is, my mate went to get the tickets. And when he got them, he goes, oh, do you mind if I just went out and tell my dad went outside that we got in? You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
God.
we went and sat in there and we watched Girl the and so Big Boss was the first one. Was 1974. And it was something else. I remember. Something else. I remember we on the way back out, while we were waiting for his dad, we felt we were really tough. It's a very rough area that time, you know, so you had to really play it down a bit. So that was sort of the sparkle, but still it was Enter the Dragon. So Enter the Dragon come back around again with a film called Black Eye. It's a detective film. and this is the down. And
Yeah.
I've told this story before. This is the up and down side of it. The upside was my mum said to me, "Do you want to give us 50 pence each," which is about the equivalent to $1,
Yeah.
to go to the pictures? And we said, "Should we try again and see Enter the Dragon, my mate?" And I said, "All right." And we went off, and there was a big crowd of people, because back in those days, for Enter the Dragon, and any good film, it went round the block. So I So I sort of milled in with all the adults.
Yeah.
And he went up, got the tickets, and I went then, and we got to the door, and I was behind him, and he said 2 going in, and the one was too busy, and we got in. And I remember we had to sit through this film called Black Eye, and it was really, it was okay, but and then Enter the Dragon come on. And it's, no matter which film you say the favourite film, that film, you were so willing to see it, you sit there, you didn't want to blink. And I watched that film, and it had some effect on me. And I remember when we come out, we wanted to try and find groups of guys to fight. ridiculously.
Everyone had the fever when they came out of the theaters.
And we saw that film, but here's the downside. And I'm going home. I'm going home to see my mum, to tell her when I got home, the door's slightly ajar, and I push it, and there's a note. And my mum had left home. She gave me that money because she wanted to separate from her dad.
Oh wow.
And so I've gone bursting in, and then my mum's gone, and she said, "I'm sorry, I've got to go." And so there's like a calm down I've never felt before. Although what she was doing was for the best, because I come from a very violent household, and so she thought it'd be better, and that my dad wouldn't do the same things, and it was a terrible.
Oh, she went from a real big high watching Enter the Dragon and coming home, and wow, that's crazy,
and I don't
man.
know where she is.
Wow, to this day.
No, I don't.
Oh.
We do, but at the time she didn't want my dad to beat it out.
I got you. Wow,
You know,
that was crazy, man.
And he was okay when we come back in. So that was a very memorable night for me.
Yeah.
The moment that changed my life to where I am now, to the moment that your mum's gone. And we were very close.
Wow.
It's terrible.
So Enter the Dragon did it for you.
Enter the Dragon really was the film. And I think
that was the...
And I think when you go through that sort of trauma, I sort of threw myself into that. I was buying the magazines.
Yeah.
You know, you become...
That was your escape, right? That was your escape. It was Bruce Lee and
David
magazines
Carradine,
and Kung Fu, and
that
then, became your life at that point.
It is. You know, I think I've spoke to people before who've had losses in their life, and they've said, you know, thank God I've got whatever their hobby is, could be Bruce Lee, to throw themselves into.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a good thing to have, is to have something that, you know, and I try to still keep it that way, because if you make it too much in your life, you've got nothing to escape to.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And if something becomes your hobby and it becomes a profession,
yeah,
you lose that edge too.
Why do you think Bruce Lee had such a big impact? Not on just you, but so many people around the world. Because there were so many movies and actors that came out in the 70s that were pretty good movies, but then you see Bruce Lee hit the screen. Why do you think he had that impact on people?
I don't think it was anything to do with the movie. I think it was just Bruce Lee had this charisma. It was a new... We'd never seen fighting like this. It captured the... For me, it captured something that was so... what's the word I'm looking for? On the screen, it was so mesmerizing on the screen.
My style? You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
So, and everybody had that same feeling. It wasn't me just seeing something other people couldn't see. It was so mesmerizing. And, you know, I think it's a bit like anything. It's a bit like Marmite. You either liked it at the time or you didn't.
You didn't, yeah.
And if you liked it, and a lot of people didn't. Some people went, there was a craze. You know, everybody was kung fu fighting. There was a craze. But not everybody stuck with it.
That's true.
And I didn't either, to tell you the truth, because by the time I got to 18, 19 and discovered girls and drinking out, you know, that sort of takes a back burner.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so that sort of left my life for a while.
But then everyone always seems to go back to it, because I experienced that too. You know, you leave it for a little bit, but then something else sparks your interest, a documentary comes out, and all of a sudden you're sucked back into it. And some people can leave it for good and never come back, and some people just can't leave it, and they're always coming back around to it in some way or the other.
For me, it was because I worked as a croupier in London in the casinos, and I wanted to see me and my friend planned to go around the world, and so we decided to get a bus to Athens. In Athens, we ended up in Greece, I just can't remember where right now. It'll come back to me. And so we've gone there, and we decided we're running out of money a bit, and we got a little bit of part-time work doing mosaic floor laying, where it's like little squares, put them in the floor for these flats. But in the afternoon they siesta, and this guy said, "Oh, my friend's got a bar, let's go and watch a film." And they put on Bruce Lee the Legend in 1984 on VHS.
Wow.
And we sat there, and it brought everything back to me. And so in the afternoons, and in Greece, they were quite well up on the films.
Yeah.
You know, they had quite a good selection. And so we went back and watched that the next day, and suddenly that bug hit me again. Now, we never went any further than Greece. We didn't get round the world. We ended up going back to England.
Yeah.
And when I got back, I wanted to move back to London, because I was living in London.
Yeah.
It seemed very dull back at my mum's place, and and in the end we managed to get a room. We had to sleep out all night. There was a hostel called YMCA. It's a nice place, and they had so many rooms that they allocated at a low rent, and we got one. So now I'm in the heart of London, and this is where it all is. And I started a little business in Chinatown selling handcuffs and patches, and at the time the big band was a band called Bros and Smiley for Acid. And then, but because we was in Chinatown, people come up to me and said, "Where can we get kung fu films from? Where can we get them from?" And the Chinese shops didn't want to sell to the West. They said, "Oh, they're all Chinese," you know what I mean? They didn't want to know. But the guy whose shop it was, his uncle did all the late night.
Yeah.
And he was giving the films to TVB, ATV, and so we had struck this deal that we would start selling films from my thing when they come. Yeah, I could get some films.
Is that how you got into Eastern Heroes video?
No,
back
no.
then,
So what
or?
happened was this. So I was then going to the Empire late night, and one of the first films I saw was Eastern Condors, and that film had that same impact as Enter the Dragon. It sort of blew me away. And what happens is, you go there, and I had a friend at the time that I met called Chris Alexis, and we decided that we could create a catalogue and we should start the Jackie Chan fan club, which we did. And
What year was that?
1988.
Wow, so that's when you started the Jackie Chan fan club.
Fan club, yeah.
Out of, where were you now, in Greece, or were you in?
No, I'm back in.
You're back
London.
in.
I'm in London.
You're in
staying
London
in the
now.
YMCA.
Wow.
And we got this office, and we started to create catalogues, and we started to do this Jackie Chan, and we were surprised. So how it worked around was, I called up Combat to see if I could put an advert in, and I said, "My name's Rick Baker," and at the time Bay Logan was the editor, and he had the call, and he thought it was Rick Baker, the special effects guy.
Oh.
Picked up the phone, and I said, "Oh, no, it's not Rick Baker, is it?" You know what I mean? And I said, "I'm going to do a triple, but I'm going to bring the late night back. I'm going to do it in the afternoon." And we did this triple, and I could get the film, so we put this fantastic triple bill on, which was Shanghai Express, Project A2, and Eastern Condors.
Wow.
And we wasn't sure it was going to go, and people were queuing up 8 o'clock in the morning. And so that now suddenly got my fever into Hong Kong cinema. So there's Bruce Lee, the Jackie Chan, but we were trying to spread the word in 1988. It was underground.
Yeah.
And what happened was I then become, with my partner and other people, we become the kings of bootleg. We controlled the movie scene in the underground because people wanted them, and we had a ways of getting them. And back then you'd pay $30 for a tape.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so we were very.
It's hard to find anything back then in the 80s.
We were. My name become well known for all the wrong reasons, I guess. And so so that the 1988 started the start of where I am now, I guess.
I got you.
And even though we were doing that, we still put Bruce Lee in there.
Yeah.
But we were using Bruce Lee to bring people in to see the other stars.
Got ya.
You know. And then in 1989, I did research with Jonathan Ross for a series called The Incredibly Strange Picture Show. And he wanted to do an episode on Bruce. And I said to him, you should look at Jackie. And at the time, Golden offices were opposite his in Waldorf Street.
Oh, wow.
So we went over and he went to Hong Kong and he linked up with Rick Mayers. And then you've all seen on YouTube now, out comes this Incredibly Strange Picture Show. And on the back of that, Channel 4 ran a season of films. Zoo Warrior, I can't remember, Mr. Vampire, Rouge. So there was a lot going on there.
Yeah.
So what happened was we then started to build on that, and then we come in touch with a company that were from Vinyl Solution, and they just sold a band called.
Join me for part 2 as we continue our interview with Ricky Baker, founder of Eastern Heroes, and learn more about his Bruce Lee journey. Also, hear our debate on whether the missing saw scene in Bruce Lee's movie The Big Boss was ever released on film or not, and much more coming soon.